What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk to you about strive. I want to go over some of the data points, break it down on some expectations for this upcoming week, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. So strive did have a pretty rough Friday, went down 6.36%. But then again, Friday, the market was kind of jumpy, largely because of a lot of the data that came out, plus Trump's court case. So I'll give you a quick summary of a lot of that. But it's not down and out. You see a lot of people posting on social media that this stock is like done. I feel like a lot of people just are too emotional with this stock. And so last time I actually did a video, it was right here. And this is why I love to look at a lot of the data points, because it does signal kind of where things generally are going to go. And so I did even post this on my Patreon as a buy, closed it right over here, so made a solid about 38.21% upside. So very important to look at a lot of the data points and don't get so emotionally attached to a stock, whether it be this one or anyone out there. So pay attention to a lot of the data points. But when it comes down to this upcoming week, things could go very, very positive for the market. So starting off with data, Monday, we don't really have that much. We actually have a lot of Fed speakers, mind you, throughout the whole week. So that could cause some volatility in among itself. Tuesday, we have ADP employment, the weekly, and then the dreaded CPI. So that one's going to be a big deal, especially most recently, the FOMC minutes did signal that inflation is now a thing on everyone's radar, supposedly, because prior to that, it was just housing and labor. Those were kind of the key data points that the Feds were supposedly only watching, but now inflation somehow crept in there. So a lot of people are going to be watching CPI very, very closely. Aside from that, though, a lot of Fed speakers. Wednesday, we have the dreaded PPI, retail sales. Aside from that, though, we do have on the Thursday, typical kind of stuff. So initial jobless claims, and then Friday, not so much. It is bank earnings week, so they're going to be kicking off earnings season, and so that as well, depending on what they give for future guidance, how consumers are doing, that could cause, of course, some volatility. And I feel like a lot of kind of speculative plays are holding their breath. So nothing really has been happening with Bitcoin. So even over the last 5 days, it's down 1.08%. It, luckily enough, has broken above a key resistance level, and it's been holding that. So I think in general, everything is just waiting for kind of a good reason to either move higher or lower. Right now, we're kind of stuck in limbo, but potentially we have a lot of good reasons to really move higher. And then this right here was something that caused a lot of distress on Friday, and that was the Supreme Court ruling. Unfortunately, they didn't give any guidance and they pushed it to the 14th. So that's going to be something to kind of watch for this upcoming week. But all in all, I feel like there could be a lot of good opportunity to really move higher. At the same time, shorts. On Friday, they did return 919,000 shares. So in general, shorts could have easily doubled and tripled down, but they didn't. So the fact that shorts did return, I feel like is extremely optimistic and bullish. 29.23% of the free float is being shorted. Works out to be 170.91 million shares overall being shorted. So that's what we're going into this upcoming week with. DTC being 1.55 days. As well, I see a lot of posts on social media saying that this stock is being kind of heavily shorted, naked shorting. And as of right now, you can kind of see a lot of FTDs that was in like October and November, nothing recent. And plus shares on loan being at 318 versus 170 being shorted. So I don't think that there is any naked shorting happening. Of course, I'm not here to BS you. I'm pretty straight arrow, so I just give it as it is. All I'm doing is interpreting the data. And so I'm not here to pump you up or bring you down. A lot of, again, influencers kind of have their ulterior motives and whatever else. So I could easily say, yes, this stock has naked shorting, blah, blah, blah. But as far as the data, there is nothing to really indicate that. Coming from a bull standpoint, you see a consensus for it to be above $1.50. So this upcoming week, there's a lot more optimism, more than what there has ever been in a while. And coming from a bear standpoint, though, they do feel sub $1 is going to be kind of sticking. So it is going to come down to the data. Right now with it at 94 cents and change, it is trading between this R1 and the pivot. So 86 cents is going to be the next strong support. And in all fairness, that's kind of the bouncing off point. That's what it's always bounced off of and usually trends to back to that $1 range. This is the 1-day chart, so very strong support and resistance points. So 101 followed by 110 is going to be the next strong target / resistance points. If you do want a lot of good buy signals, including yours truly and many others, pop over to my Patreon. I put out absolute bangers, no BS, no emotion, just data. So if you're looking for that, pop over there, link in the description below and also the comments on a side note. But getting right to the actual chart itself. So going into this upcoming week, again, it's not down and out. Unfortunately, it would have been better for it to break above that 50-day moving average. You would have saw some very nice price action. And that's why I actually did close my buy signal on January the 7th, because it did break below that 50-day moving average. So going into this upcoming week, it's wedge bound between that 50 and 10. As long as it's above 10, it kind of shows that it still does have some good momentum. So that 10-day moving average is sitting at 89 cents. So that's also another good support level generally. And flip side, that 50-day moving average is sitting at 104. So all in all, like I said, this upcoming week, you could see a lot of volatility because of Fed speakers primarily, Trump's court case and so forth, and plus CPI. But generally, I do feel like a lot of that is going to come in fairly positive, similar to Friday's data, which the market didn't really like the positive data. But nonetheless, that could be enough to really push it higher. And as long as it can stay above that 50-day moving average for 2 consecutive days, this is where you could see some very impressive price action. So we haven't seen it actually stay above that 50-day moving average since August, so August 25th, and that's where it went from about $4 and change to a temporary high, cycle high of 680 before it consolidated, bounced off of that 50 and went to that 1260. So like I said, it's not down and out. Of course, there is certain risks. So just kind of refer back to a lot of those support levels. If they do break, then you could see some further consolidation. So just kind of, again, follow the data. Don't be so emotional. Stocks like this, you really want to set kind of stop losses right below, for instance, either a key moving average or potentially based on what I showed you for the fib levels right below that. So just on a like fun FYI. But again, I feel overall this week, as long as the data can come in as expected, we should be seeing a nice push higher. So let me know your thoughts on this stock. Are you buying? Are you selling? What are you doing? And as I mentioned, pop over to my Patreon if you're looking for some on-point buy signals on stocks, options, crypto. Definitely worthwhile to pop over there and check that out. With all that said, appreciate all you watching.